Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Paper Pad Palooza. So if you recall in my April wrap-up for How to Kill a Kit with Style, I said that I was really going to continue working with this gorgeous paper pad that my friend Helen had sent to me, and that I would start a new series called Paper Pad Palooza so that we could make some more layouts, do some cards, tags, all sorts of things based on this lovely paper pad. And at that point, I had cut a lot of the larger scraps into 4.5 by 5.5 or thereabouts sizes so they could be used on cards. So this week I played around with some card making, and I've got about 8 or 9 or maybe even 10 cards here. Now the idea for this particular bout of card making came from the Secret Not Secret Kit Club Layout Palooza Round 2 class. Event. I guess it's more of an event than a class because it is a class, but it's got a kit. I've talked about it before, but one of the bonus projects, because Christina, after she's shown us a layout and given us ideas to create the layout as well as all of the supplies, there are a lot of times some little leftovers, and she gives us some fun little project ideas for that. And in this particular case, it was a card. So this comes from that kit. It follows pretty closely the card that we made in the class. I may have added a couple of the circles. I did the title differently. I don't have as much embellishment on it. But it gave me a fun idea to do a little bit of a series of card making with this lovely paper pad, because I do need a lot of cards. I send a lot of cards, and the majority of the cards that I send through the post, so they need to be quite flat, not a lot of dimension. And this lends itself perfectly because there's a lot of interest, color, but they can be very flat. So all I did to get myself started on this was, again, I took a lot of the larger scraps, made them into card bases. Then I took some pieces of the paper, and I in fact took a few sheets and I cut some 4 by 12 pieces from it. So this is the rest of that particular piece of paper, and you see they're double-sided. So I did that on quite a few of the papers, 3 or 4 I think. Then I took my punches and one die. I took a 2.5 circle die because I don't have a 2.5 circle punch, a 2-inch punch, 1.5 inch. You could take 1 3/4 or 1 3/8 depending on what you have in your stash, and then a 1 1/4 inch. And I'm not sure whether this was in Christina's original, but anyway. So, and then I sat down, watched a few YouTube videos, and punched away. And you know what? Punching a whole bunch of circles and having fun doing that is almost as relaxing as stitching, and quite fun. So anyway, I punched out quite a few in all of the different sizes. Then I matched up my backgrounds and glued them to just a basic white card, A2 size card, 4 1/4 by 5.5. You'll see that some of my card backs here are a little bit smaller than the actual, depending on what size they were. Some are exactly. So then I proceeded to just lay out all of my different circles. So following pretty much this exact format or this exact design, I made a few cards. So you see we have this one, which is quite bold, and if you see here, I have more than one that has stripes on it, but I purposely made sure the stripes were going in different directions. I made sure that they weren't side by side. I made sure that sort of polka dot or circular elements within the punch shapes were not side by side. I put a little bit of thought, but not great thought. And then I just went along. So you see, this is a top folding landscape. Put all of my circles. And what I did here, so that I would not have to add a lot of dimension, is I inked. I've been back into inking a lot of my edges. So I inked my edges here in a pale gray. I think it's maybe granite or smoky slate. I think it's smoky slate, something like that from Stampin' Up. And I inked all of my circles. And then here, just to give a little shadow and really a little bit of dimension, I took a stamp that I have here for you. And in this case, I stamped it on the red cardstock. This, I used a 1-inch circle, then a 1 1/4 just white cardstock, which I did not ink. And I did pop this up on foam. So here you go. So this can go in the mail. It's fun. There's not a lot of dimensional elements in it, but I find it quite interesting and quite fun. So there is card number 1. Then doing exactly the same thing. If you can see, if you put it this way, I've done my circles in exactly the same way, but this time I made it in the portrait orientation. So it does give a different look. Again, I just followed the same little principles, made sure that my stripes were facing different directions and that there was some different spacing between them. I added a little bit of this lovely aqua color in, again, not one beside the other. The background to this. So because I was going in the portrait mode, I put the stripes, of course, going this way. And again, did exactly the same thing, but this time I reversed. I stamped in that gray on white and then used my 1 1/4 circle, popped it up on foam for the For You. There you go. Then this one, again, I did in, this is a top folding this way, so it's portrait, but you see, it's sort of this orientation. So it gives, yet again, a little bit of a different feel, but very, very, very similar. Exactly the same kind of thing. Placed all of my things, inked all of my edges in gray. This, I have a stamp, Hello. I think this is from Ink Road Stamps. And I have the little die that cuts out the outline. I actually have the intricate die that cuts out the hello, and you'll see it a little bit further. I did use it, but I was having a little bit of trouble with it cutting out properly, so I think I'm going to have to either use a little bit of a shim or maybe do a little bit of sharpening. So as I went on, I decided to stamp and cut out, do it a little bit the easy way. Raise the hello on foam dots, and then here I took the lovely, where did I put them now? These lovely little dome shapes that I had also received from Helen, because they really, if you can see, they're not very dimensional. They're a lot less dimensional than regular enamel dots or shapes. So for adding just a touch of dimension and a touch of interest, but still being able to get them easily into the post. So in this particular case, not all of the cards lent themselves to adding this lovely little glitter bit, but some of them did. And as you can see here, I put it at the junction of 3 of the circles and just up here from the hello card, another card. Then this one, now here we're getting into a few little differences. I'm still using a lot of those punch shapes, but then I was using some scraps the way I had them. So I had this panel, which was quite a bit smaller than the 5 1/4, 4 1/4, 5 1/2. So I put just a piece of cardstock behind it. And here I had this rectangle. If you recall in the last video, I talked about this being one of my go-to type designs where I just put a contrasting piece of paper down one side, and then here often I will have a stamped image that I've colored in that I pop up. In this case, I just added 2 of the little circles, and here I went in to get one of the stickers from my How to Kill a Kit with Style. This is from Cocoa Vanilla, stamped the For You, added one of these little dots, and there we go, a totally different design, but still inspired by all of these lovely little punched out circles. Next, I followed the same idea as the basic design, but shorter and smaller. So here the largest circle is the 2-inch circle as opposed to the 2.5. There are 6 as opposed to 7 circles on here. And I started this one with these 2, sort of pretty much smack in the middle. Well, I'm a little bit off since I just measure everything by eye. Added these 2, which are the 1.5, and then 2 1.25 coming off the page. These I found really lent themselves well to having 3 of the little dome shapes. And here you see I just put no dimension, just glued right here that hello, the more intricate one that I had cut out in the cardstock that's here on the background. So another totally different look. Then this one I kind of like. So this one, this is a much darker scrap that I had, and I wasn't quite sure. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit more of a masculine card with this, but I had this scrap in exactly that, it was cut exactly that way. So I had this was a lot smaller, so I matted it on some cardstock, and I put this rectangle down there, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to put 1 circle flush there, and just because I found this was a little bit longer, rather than do some cutting here, I just added 1 more of the circles. And as you can see, still the same kind of thing, just vary the patterns that are on, vary the shapes to give it a little bit of interest, ink the edges, and away you go. And another little hello. So as you can see, I'm using hello, for you. So all of these are really generic type cards. The next one, same basic structure as this one here. You see, same basic structure as this one here. But here I used, again, instead of a stamped and colored in image, I used, this is from Vicky Boutin, and it was in some of the die cuts that I had kept from the How to Kill a Kit with Style from April. And I just used it as is, inked it around, popped it up, and enjoy today, which is just a fun little sentiment to add into a card. And as you can see, all of my card bases are white. I mean, you could use colored cardstock as your base and then either write in a white gel pen, but I don't always get along with my white gel pens. In fact, the one that I prefer is the Sakura. I am, contrary to most, I am not on the Signo Uniball bandwagon at all, because they are beautiful and they write beautifully, but most of the time mine have just skipped or dried up so quickly. I would have them for a couple of weeks and then that would be it. So at the moment I'm enjoying the Sakura ones, but they don't always write perfectly on colored cardstock. And then I just find it a waste if you have a lovely colored cardstock and you're going to glue a piece of white cardstock so that you can write, a little wasteful. So I basically just use white bases and we'll put a piece of colored cardstock on top. So this one is that took like 3 minutes. It's about as simple could be. Then this one is a lot of fun as well, because again, it's the same principle, and that I just took a lot of the scraps that I had in exactly the way they were, lined them up to give a little bit of interest. So yet again, I inked my edges to give some separation between the 3 pattern papers, and just try it, put them side by side. You'll see the difference that it makes. So I had 3 different lengths, so I put the longer one in the middle, then I offset these 2 to give a little bit of a fun geometric type contemporary feel. And then because there was this little space, I took 2 of the 1 1/4 circles. This one flat to the page. This one I did pop up. My hello, flat to the page. And just the way this progressed, I found it was just fun to add 2 of the little domes into it. So there you go. So then you see, then I tried another kind of thing, and I'm showing this to you here. I'm putting this here because it's, for me, it's a little bit of a fail because I had a lot. I think I went a little happy. I must have hit a really fun spot in the video that I was watching. I think I was watching Christy's, from Christy's Beautiful Life, her awesome hauls before she goes on a year-long spending freeze, which I'm seriously considering joining her on, except for my kids, of course. So I punched and just punched and punched 1 1/4 circles. So then I thought to myself, you know what? I'll just take a piece of cardstock, which is smaller than my background, and I'm just going to line up some of the circles all the way through, and then maybe put like a rectangular piece here with a sentiment on top. So I started doing that, but there's 2 things that I'm not fussy on. I did not ink the edges, number 1. My spacing is not really what I wanted. These 2 should have been over to the left a bit more, so I could really put this right in the middle, because this gives like this wonky shape here that I'm not fond of. I find the white a little bit stark since I didn't ink my edges, so it might have been better. I think it would have been nicer on a gray. Yeah, see, it would have been a lot nicer on a dark gray background. So then I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to put maybe a few of these lovely little domes, but because this is a wonky shape, I don't really like that either. So I'm going to try this again on a gray background, edges inked, a couple of these popped up, and then just 1 little square. Like I could take this and put it on a solid piece of cardstock, probably red, and cut it out and then oppose it to the top. So we're going to try this one again. I'll let you know in the next video how that worked out, because I kind of like the idea, but I got it wrong. And then to give you a little bit more of an idea of how I go about just using these scraps, so I had these bits on my desk. So another card base. This time I cut a piece of gray cardstock, and there's a little bit of a border all the way around except for there. So I sort of got that a little bit wrong, but anyway, by the time the card is done, nobody is really going to notice. So then you see here again, I have 2 different sizes of scraps. So the first thing I'm thinking of is putting that here. Yeah, you see, there you go. And then we could put this here. Now you see these 2 pieces of cardstock sort of blend in together. So what if we put, now you see, there you go. If we put a red border on there, straight away, you see, that gives a little bit more definition. Now we could put it underneath as well, but you see, I find that doesn't give it quite as much definition. So we're going to put it this way. Yeah, what do you think? We try that? Now, I don't have my ink here to ink my edges, but oh well, so we won't ink our edges this time. So there you go. Let's do that like that. Okay, so let's do that. You know what? I'm just going to put that on here, do a little bit, get some of my glue on here, put that sort of here. And if you see, it does not go. So the idea behind all of these, to me, basically, is just have them all different widths and lengths. There we go. So we'll put that here. And I'm going to keep the red on this side so that we have some extra red. So I'm going to keep the red down here. I'm not really going to center this. I'm going to put it a little higher than centered, but trying to leave roughly the same amount of space here on either side. Then now you see this spans pretty much the entire card. So I kind of like that. Again, a different length. That's really all we have to think about. So let's try putting that. There we go. There you go. So that's kind of fun. And you see I'm doing this in portrait. So then I now have 2 of my circles. So this, no, way too dark, I find. So there you go. So we have here this nice little stripe. And you see how these are stripes? They're different widths, so I think that's fine. We can match them together, but we don't want them going the same way. So let's put these exactly square. There you go. And you see, we could pop these up. Yeah, let's pop these up. I'm just going to go get a couple of pop dots. Let's pop them up. What do you think? Yeah, let's pop them up. So I'm going to pop that up since I didn't do the inking. If I had inked my edges, I probably wouldn't pop them up. But since I didn't ink my edges, let's pop this up. But now the other one, we probably won't. So let's see, we might want to put that one first. Oh, I have another little guy here. There we go. So we'll put it this way. And then now, you see, we can put that way, but then you have this odd little gap here. This, to me, now we have just too many stripes. Or do we? No, you know what? We could do this exactly like that. That's kind of cool. We could do that, but we'll put this a little bit more underneath. We could do that like that. Or we could do this, which I find is maybe a little too light. But you know what? You see, I thought I was going to use this side, but let's not. Let's use this one. So we're going to put this pretty much like that. So let's put some glue on here. And let's do this way. So we have some stripes going horizontally, diagonally, and let's have these go vertically. And let's put this right there. What do you think? There you go. Let's do that. Let's take these off. Isn't this fun? So there we go. Let's get that done. And so this is vertical. So let's get this right here. There we go. And then you see now here, we could, now you see here, I don't think I want to put a circular element for my For You. You know what I think I might want to do here is just, oh yeah, why don't we just stamp that here, here, yeah, let's do that. So we could stamp that just all the way up here. I don't have, next time I'll be a little bit more prepared. I wasn't really thinking of doing a little bit of a process. Hey guys, I'm doing a little bit of a process card, but still. So I think that's what we could do up here is put the For You there. There you go. So there's another quick card that we've done. So there you go. Oh, and this one here, see this one I was just going to say, and this one we will do For You. Now you see, you think to yourself, oh, you could put that anywhere, but you see if you put it here, no, just let your eye let you know where to put the sort of extra little circular element if you're going to put it. So there you go. So far, by using about 3 4x12 strips from this lovely paper pad and all of the scraps that I had left from the April How to Kill a Kit with Style, I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards. Isn't that cool? 10 cards. And that was a little while relaxing, watching a video, punching a bunch of circles, and spending a couple of hours at my table just inking and gluing. So there you go for this edition of Paper Pad Palooza. Join me again soon. Thank you for being here. Talk to you soon. Bye.